we are nearing halfway of the Namibian fiscal year, Mr. Daniel Steinman. What was said in the beginning of the year by the Minister of Finance, Minister Shimi, is that the 4 amendment bills that was laid on the table, and looking at how far we've actually come now, would you say that, the Namibian economists and also, of course, the people that work with the minister will be happy when the new, or the what do you call the budget that will be laid?
The interim budget.
The interim budget.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think you all will be happy and satisfied to some extent?
I think a lot of people are going to be very happy. Remember, I've explained often that you have various schedules, is the only word I can use, or various types of financial years.
Yeah.
You've got a calendar year from January to December, which is what you and I mostly work on in terms of our own personal incomes.
Yes.
Then you've got the financial year for most companies, which is from March until the end of February. And then you've got financial years for some companies, which is from July to June. And then you've got the fiscal year, the most important one, which is the government's financial year. And it starts on the 1st of April and it ends on at the end of March. So if you just count on your fingers, April, May, June, July, August, September, it means that now, as we speak, we are in the 6th month. We are at the end of the first semester of the government fiscal year. And that is the reason why in more or less a month from now, Minister Shimi will go before Parliament with the interim budget. This is where he take the main budget, the one that he tabled on the 28th of February this year, and where he make all sorts of small adjustments. He's moving around some figures. The fancy word is virement, but we don't speak French in Namibia. So I actually chuckle a bit when I hear the politicians talk about environments this, environments that. But whether it is now very fancy French virement or whether it is Namlish environment, it's the same thing. It means that where there's a little bit money left, you take it away or you put it aside and you apply that where there's a little bit of money short to make the budget balance without increasing the need to go borrow more. This is the very big important thing. And Shimi's predecessor, the Schledbein, the Minister of Finance before Minister Shimi, he carried us through a very difficult time in 2017, 18 and 19. And I'm not counting 2020 because then it was the start of COVID. And COVID was an extraordinary event. It affected us all in the same measure. But the recession of 17, 18, 19 was something that called for a very special form of financial management. And virement was a key component of using whatever we had in slicing and dicing and reallocating and getting some ministries out of trouble. And I make it sound as if it was easy. It wasn't. It was very, very difficult. And all the time, with one eye, he had to watch the government debt because the government debt was growing all the time. And the political criticism against it just became more severe and more severe and more severe. You can remember when we came out of COVID at the end of 2021, I think you could read something about government debt almost every day in the newspaper. It was a very hot topic. So now come the minister this year and he says, I'm going to submit 4 amendment tables, bills. Not 1, 4. And I remember we sort of still looked at each other and we laughed, in which year? Elspeth, do you know that joke when somebody wants to borrow money from you and they say they'll pay you at the end of the month? The first thing you need to ask is, end of which month? And then they say, no, end of September. Then you ask them, in which year? So we were asking Minister Shimi, Minister, in which year do you want to submit and process 4 amendment bills? I didn't believe it could be done. But it was done very successfully. The bills were very well phrased, drafted, and very clear. And right from the beginning, he laid his agenda on the table. And he said, this is the reason why we want to increase the minimum, the tax on minimum income, the Income Tax Act. And this is the reason why we want to increase the VAT threshold. And this is the reason why we want to increase the stamp duty level and the transfer duty level. So there was a good solid reason for all the adjustments that he wanted to push through, and he basically sold the concept successfully to his colleague in the National Assembly. And that's the only reason. I mean, it's now basically 2 weeks since Parliament resumed. And when I read yesterday that the first one has been gazetted, I said, impossible, can't be. I had to go check the source. Did it really happen? Yes, the income tax one was gazetted on Monday, and the other 3 will be gazetted within the week. So when we reach end of October, when we get the interim budget, and sort of a reflection, a reassessment of the ministry, of what they have achieved with the main budget. Where do we stand? It's going to be a very happy Minister of Finance who gets up there in Parliament and tables the interim budget.
Okay, on that beautiful note, let's quickly go for another short break.